this is Max. Today I'm going to do a playthrough of the Waterloo game, which can be played in solitaire or in two-player mode. For this video I will play as the French solitaire, so I select the blue color and click on the French solitaire setup button. Now let's first have a look at the map. So we are actually commanding the French army of Napoleon, which is represented by the blue colored units, while our opponent is commanding the Allied army of Wellington, which is represented by the red colored units. The game board itself depicts the famous Battle of Waterloo. As you can see, we have several units and formations at our disposal. On our right we have the French First Corps, consisting of 6 infantry units. On our left we have the Second Corps, consisting of 5 infantry units. On the extreme left we have the 3rd Cavalry with 3 units. Behind the First Corps we have the 4th Cavalry, consisting also of 3 units. In the center, behind the First Corps, we have the French Reserve, consisting of 4 infantry units. And then at the back we have the famous Imperial Guard with 3 infantry units. The Allied opponent starts the battle in possession of both farms, Hougomont and La Haye-Sainte, which serves as strong points. So we have Hougomont at the left and La Haye-Sainte at our right, which is already controlled by the Allies. Then we have the right wing, which is consisting of 4 infantry units. We have the Allied left wing, consisting of 5 infantry units. In the back the Allies have their Allied cavalry with 4 units. And then they have a small reserve consisting of 3 infantry units. Now each French corps corresponds to an activation card, which can be found here at the blue card track. Each activation card corresponds to a number of actions we can choose from at the start of every turn. So if we have a look at the Second Corps, this formation has 3 possible actions. They can attack Hougomont farm with the +2 die roll modifier, disadvantage. This means that we have to add 2 to our die roll, and as can be seen on the attack results table, the higher the number, the more likely the French will be hit. So a plus DRM is definitely a disadvantage for the French. They can also attack the Allied right wing with a +1 DRM if Hougomont is Allied controlled, and they can also attack the Allied reserve if the right wing is destroyed. The activation card of the First Corps has similar possible actions. They can attack La Haye-Sainte farm with a +1 die roll modifier, disadvantage. They can attack the Allied left wing with a +1 DRM if La Haye-Sainte farm is Allied controlled, and they can also attack the Allied reserve if the left wing is destroyed. Then we have the Imperial Guard, which is an elite formation and which has several possible actions they can perform. So they can attack Hougomont with a +1 DRM, or they can attack La Haye-Sainte farm without any advantage or disadvantage. They can also attack the Allied right wing, the Allied left wing, and even the Prussians if they would appear on the board. And they can also attack the Allied reserve if the right wing or the left wing is destroyed. Then another important activation card is the one for the cavalry. This cavalry charge can be performed by the 3rd Cavalry on the Allied right wing or on the Allied cavalry. This cavalry charge can also be performed by the 4th Cavalry on the Allied left wing or on the Allied cavalry. And the 3rd Cavalry may also attack the Allied reserve if the right wing is destroyed, and the 4th Cavalry may attack the Allied reserve if the left wing is destroyed. Mind you that the cavalry will have a disadvantage of +1 DRM if the Imperial Guard would be destroyed, so the Imperial Guard should not be committed too early in the battle. And then we have the French Reserve. The French Reserve has also several options. They can also attack the Prussians, albeit with a +1 DRM disadvantage, or they can reinforce 1st or 2nd Corps with up to 2 units, or reinforce both 1st Corps and 2nd Corps with 1 unit each. And then we have the French Artillery. With the Fire Artillery activation card, they can fire at the Allied left wing or right wing, and they have a -1 DRM advantage if the target is in square formation. And finally, we also have the Napoleon Commander card, which is a special card, and as the text says, with this activation card we can activate any infantry or cavalry corps that has no available activation cards but still has units on the board. And mind you that with this card you cannot activate the artillery. The number of activation cards for each formation is limited and is shown here on top of the deck. So the Napoleon Commander card is limited to 3. The 2nd Corps activation cards have 4, the 1st Corps also have 4, Imperial Guard has 3 activation cards, the cavalry there are 3, and for the reserve we have 4, and for the artillery we also have 4. Okay, now how can we win this game as the French? This we can find on the French player aid. There is one condition for the French to win the battle, and there are 4 conditions for the French to lose the battle. So the first one is the win condition. The French can win the battle when the Allies lose the control of Hougoumont or La Haye Sand Farm, and when the French eliminate 2 of the 4 Allied formations, which are summed up here: the left wing, the right wing, the Allied reserve, and the Allied cavalry. So they have to destroy 2 of these 4. The rest, the 4 remaining conditions are actually lose conditions. The French will lose the battle at the end of any turn when the first victory condition has not been met and the 1st Corps or the 2nd Corps are destroyed. Even when the French would achieve a first victory condition to win the battle, they may still lose the battle if at the end of the turn 1st Corps and 2nd Corps would be destroyed. But this should normally be a rare case. And then the French can also lose the battle if at the end of any turn 7 or more Prussian units are on the board and the first victory condition has not been met. And the French can also lose if at the end of turn 18 they did not achieve victory. Because as you can see, there are in total maximum 18 turns. Okay, we start at turn 1, and turn 1 is indicated by the pawn on the first position, but is also indicated by this number. And the sequence of play for solitary game is that the player chooses an activation card and selects one action. And after that, the second step is to roll 1 die to determine the opponent action, the bot action, and the opponent action is actually determined by this sheet. And as you can see on the top right corner, the difficulty for this sheet is challenging, but we have also we have 3 versions of this sheet, and this can be selected with the right mouse button. We also have a veteran difficulty, and we also have a tough difficulty. But for this playthrough, we will be choosing the challenging difficulty, the standard one. So in a solitaire game, the bot action is always executed before the player action, as you can see in step 3. And then in step 4, the player action has to be executed, taking into account the effect of any bot actions. And then we mark the played activation cards with the disc and move the turn marker to begin a new turn. So if we demonstrate it here in this playthrough, our plan is to take La Haye Sand Farm. It should be a bit easier to take than Hougomont, and to destroy the Allied right wing, and finally the Allied reserve, or maybe the cavalry, depending on the situation. So this is our plan. So the first thing we have to do, first step, is to select an activation card. So for our first action, we choose to fire artillery, and the action we select is to bombard the Allied right wing. And we have to stay with this choice. So the order is given, we cannot change it anymore. And then second step is to roll one die to determine the opponent action. I'm going to put the die a bit closer. And we can roll the die by clicking on the blue roll button. So here we have a 4. A 4 means an Allied cavalry charge, but we have no cavalry attack or infantry attack by the French, so this is not valid. So otherwise use the tactical events. So we have to do a second roll to determine which one of the tactical events will apply. If we look at the tactical table, it's number 2, so any French action is cancelled this turn. So that means that our artillery bombardment is cancelled and has no effect. Then we are at 5, mark the played activation card with the disc, which is the artillery. And we do this because, as can be seen in the short overview of the rules, you cannot use the same activation card twice in a row. So this activation card is marked, so we don't forget. We mark it with the blue disc, so we don't forget we cannot use it in our next turn. And then we move the turn marker and begin a new turn. Okay, the first action was not very successful, so we will try to take La Haye Sand Farm. We do this using the first corps, and we will select the first action, attack La Haye Sand with a +1 DRM. But again, second step, we have to roll first for the opponent. A 2 again. The right wing will attack second corps if they have more units, which is not the case, because they have 4 and we have 5. Otherwise the Allied right wing will form a square, which gives a +2 DRM if attacked by cavalry, but this is not the case. We are attacking La Haye Sand Farm, so it has no consequences for us. Now we roll for our attack, which is a 2, +1, because of the disadvantage attacking this strong point, so that gives a 3, and that means 1 hit French and 1 hit Allied, and that means that the Allies lost control of La Haye Sand at the expense of 1 French infantry unit. So that was a successful attack. In the second turn, we mark the first corps and we go to turn number 3. So we already achieved 1 objective for our victory condition. So now we are going to try to take out this Allied right wing, and we're going to do this by doing a combined attack, performed by the cavalry, supported by another formation. So we are going to use combined arms tactics, which gives us a -1 DRM advantage. We designate the cavalry, the 3rd cavalry, to attack the allied right wing. So the the 3rd cavalry is actually our primary formation, and they will be supported by a 2nd formation. So the primary formation can be infantry or cavalry in this case, and then the supporting formation can be infantry, cavalry or artillery. So we could use 2nd Corps to support, because you can also attack the right wing, or the artillery. We select the artillery, and then we use the counters to indicate which one is the primary and which one is the secondary formation. And as you can see, we comply. This is a valid move because both formations can attack the same target. The 2 formations are of different unit types and can also target the same enemy formation. Both formations can not have been used in the previous turn, which is also the case. So this is a valid move, and as you can see, we have 5 available combined arm tactics for the French, so we still have 4 here. Okay, this is our choice: 3rd Cavalry, combined arms tactics, attacking the allied right wing. Then we roll for the enemy 4. This is an allied cavalry charge. They are actually doing a counter charge on our cavalry formation, performed by the allied cavalry, so we have to roll for their attack, which is a 5. There are no dice roll modifiers involved. They are not attacking the infantry but the cavalry, the primary formation, so a 5 means 1 hit French, so our primary formation has to pay that cost, and we lose 1 cavalry unit. Okay, now we perform our combined attack by rolling the die. We have a 4, -1 due to the combined arms tactics, which gives a 3. This means 1 hit for the French and 1 hit for the Allies, so Ally infantry unit is destroyed at the expense of 1 cavalry unit. And then we discard both counters and also both activation cards. So now we have to indicate that we played the artillery and the cavalry, so we have to mark them, and we go for the next turn. You may be tempted to use these combined arms tactics many times, but it's easily wearing out your army. You have to take this into account. You lose activation cards at a rapid rate, and this will limit your choices for future turns. So because you can also not activate them at the next turn, you have 2 formations you cannot activate, even not with a commander, so you have to be sparse with these combined arms tactics. Okay, next turn we are going to select another option. What we can do now is attack with 2nd Corps the allied right wing, because this is the place where we want to push with a +1 DRM disadvantage. First we roll for the enemy, a 4 again, but now again an allied cavalry charge, but this time on a French infantry formation, which gives a +2 DRM disadvantage for us. advantage for the Allied formation. So we roll a 3 plus 2, because attacking formation is infantry, gives us 5, so 1 infantry unit is hit and destroyed. Okay, then we perform our attack on the Allied right wing. For that we roll. We have a 2 plus 1, because Hoogomont is still Allied controlled, gives a 3, so that means 1 infantry, Allied infantry destroyed, and also 1 French of the second corps. Discard the activation card, indicate that the French second corps activation was played, and go for the next turn. So now we only have 2 remaining units on the Allied right wing, and we already took Mahe-Saint. So let's see. We will try to remove 1 unit on the Allied right wing by using our artillery fire, so we will bombard Allied right wing. Again, first roll for the Allied opponent. We roll a 1, we have to use a tactical event, so another roll. 5. Reverse slope tactics, ignore any hits on Allied units caused by French artillery this turn. So that means it doesn't make any sense to do a roll, because even if we got a hit, it will be ignored. So this was unsuccessful. We mark the artillery, go for the next turn. Okay, we focus on this side. We could do another combined attack, but as said, this can wear out your army quite rapidly. I'm going to just do 1 cavalry attack, 1 activation card, so the 3rd cavalry will attack the Allied right wing. This is the action we choose. So now we roll for the opponent. 1, again the tactical events table. 6, Allied artillery tactics, remove 1 French infantry unit of our choice. So we have to remove 1 French infantry. So we take 1 of the reserve. Okay, now we perform our attack. We still have the Imperial Guard intact, so we don't have a +1 DRM disadvantage. So we roll. Oh, 5. 5 means 1 hit French, so our last cavalry unit is destroyed. So we lost the 3rd cavalry because of this attack. So cavalry is marked. Next turn. What can we do? We could reinforce second corps. Maybe do 1 second corps and 1 first corps. So let's play a reserve card. We will add 1 unit from the reserve to both first corps and second corps. We roll a 6 for the enemy. That means the Prussians arrive. 2 units are entering the battlefield. But as can be seen, the total Prussian units on the map does not equal or exceed the available French First Corps units, so they will not attack yet the French First Corps. But if they do, they will have an advantage of +2 DRM. But with our action, we give them an extra unit, and also for the second corps. So we played the reserve, and then we go for the next turn. Okay, this is starting to pose a bit of a threat. It's not a major threat for the moment, but...
Russians. That's not necessary, that's not necessary, it's the Prussians. But as far as you and I are concerned, and the army, they're on the moon. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
This Wellington wages war in a new way. He fights sitting on his ass, where we'll have to move him off it.
Where is Bushi?
So still I prefer to do an attack on, maybe use the artillery. This is the last activation card we have. We fire at the allied right wing. We roll for the opponent. 4. Allied charge is not valid because we are not attacking with cavalry or infantry, so we have to use the tactical event. 2. Confusing orders again. Oh, okay. French artillery yet again. Cancelled because of this result. So we did not achieve anything this turn. Next turn. Okay. Let's attack with the second corps again. With the +1 DRM because Hougoumont is still Allied controlled. We first roll for the opponent. This is a 4. Again Allied cavalry charge with a +2 DRM advantage for the Allies. This is not good. 3 +2 is 5. So 1 hit French, so we just the unit that we put as a reserve, as a reinforcement, we lose. Okay, but we attack still the Allied right wing with a +1 DRM. Oh, so this 5 becomes a 6, and we lose again 2 units. This is not good. So this means that we actually have 1 unit left. If we lose this unit, we lose the battle. Because this was 1, this is the second condition here. If we lose French corps, first corps or second corps, then we lose the battle. So we still have 1 unit left, so maybe we should reinforce. But first we're going to mark that we played second corps. Go for the next turn. Now I want to reinforce second corps with the remaining reserve unit. First roll for the Allies. Allied artillery. You have to roll for the Allied artillery. 5. No effect. We are lucky. No effect. Okay, now we put another unit as a reinforcement. Because if the Allied artillery would have taken out this last unit, we would have lost the battle. So we did play the reserve, and now we have no reserve units anymore. Go for the next turn. We have still 6 units on for the first corps, but only 2 on the second corps. The question is, should we continue this fight on this side? Maybe we should focus on the Allied left wing, because we still have a full cavalry force here. Maybe do a combined attack. Yeah, we will do a combined arms tactics. So the cavalry, the 4th cavalry supported by the 1st corps, Both of them can attack the allied left wing. Both of them were not used the previous turn, they are of a different type, so it's a valid move. But first we have to roll for the enemy. What is this? A 2. The right wing will attack the second corps if they have more units. If they have 2, they have no more units, luckily, because we reinforced the second corps. Otherwise the allied right wing will form a square, but this has no impact on us because we are attacking the allied left wing. Okay, let's roll. 4 minus 1 doesn't change much, but we will have 1 hit French, 1 hit allied, so this is not a major victory, but it's the primary formation that takes the hits. So discard the activation cards, also the combined arms, tactics counters, and then we have to mark the first corps was played together with the cavalry. Then we go to turn number 12, and here you can see we cannot play these cards, even not with the commander card. So even if we want to activate the 4th cavalry, they don't have any activation cards anymore for the moment, so they could still be activated by the commander card, but we cannot do it this turn because they were played the previous turn. So maybe it's time to commit the card to attack the allied right wing. Let's do it. That's a bit risky, but Imperial Guard will attack the allied right wing. This is the action we choose. Enemy, oh god, allied cavalry charge again, because the Imperial Guard is infantry. The allies will have a +2 DRM, so we do a roll. Oh, we are lucky. 1 plus 2 is 3, so that means the cavalry is losing 1 unit, but also the Imperial Guard is losing 1 infantry unit. So all in all, not too bad, considering the conditions. So now the Imperial Guard is attacking the allied right wing. We roll for that. Hopefully we have a good roll. 2. And as you can see, there are no die roll modifiers. So 2 means that there is 1 allied hit. So 1 allied unit is taken out. So the Imperial Guard did a good job. And we have marked them. Cannot use them the next turn, and then we move to turn number 13. So we have La Haye Sainte. We almost destroyed the right wing, but we are still far from achieving the victory condition. The first victory condition, we have to take out 2 of the 4 allied formations. We only have La Haye Sainte farm. What can we do? We could try to do... We don't have artillery anymore. No reserve anymore. So we don't have a lot of options. We could activate the cavalry. But we will wait for that. We will first try to destroy the last remaining unit of the allied right wing by attacking with the second corps with a +1 DRM disadvantage. But first we see what the enemy is doing. Oh, a 4 again. That means an allied cavalry charge. That's bad, because they have a +2 DRM advantage for the allies. So again we have to roll for the enemy attack of 4. This is a 6, and this means that they hit 2 French units, so the remaining units of the second corps are destroyed, and that means that Napoleon has lost the Battle of Waterloo, like was historically the case. So, as you have seen, it doesn't take very long to play this game without the explanation. I think it's less than half an hour. It's certainly less than an hour to play this game. It's not difficult to play, but it can be hard to win. If you win easily several times, I suggest you reread the rules because you're probably doing something wrong. So for everybody who likes solitary games, this is definitely a very good game. And it even can be played as a two-player game. There is a two-player mode also. So thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.